Good evening. We're here with Constable C.Lanning at OPP, who is going to fill us in a little bit about the internet safety presentation that the OPP has brought. And this is the theme for Police Week this week is, could you remind us?
Yes, it's a safer tomorrow. So when we looked at how we would promote a safer tomorrow, we focused in on three main elements. One was ATV safety, one was boating safety, and one, which is certainly applicable throughout the year, is internet safety. So we do have a quick presentation on internet safety, and again, just as a Reader's Digest version. When I go into the kids' classrooms, as the community service officer, I'm responsible for the 14 schools in the OPP patrol area, and we go into, I try to get into all the grades, but especially in the grade 6, 7, and 8, we look at internet safety. And when I ask them how many of these sites they recognize, a number of them recognize all of them, if not more than half. When I go and present this to the parents and I ask them how many recognize these sites, they usually recognize 2 or 3. If I get a really up-to-date parent, they might recognize 5. So I'm on slide 1 of my presentation, and the parents are already one step behind their kids in that they don't even recognize a lot of the sites. So then I bring this one up, and again, a lot of the parents look at it and they say, yikes, I don't know any of those. So these are just a short list of hundreds of short forms that our young people are using, whether they're texting or whether they're on their cell phones or on Twitter, any of our social media outlets. And so when they look at this and they don't recognize more than 2 or 3, I let them know that they're quickly 2 slides in and 2 steps behind their kids. So it's really important for us to get this information out to the parents and hopefully recognize that it's their turn to start doing the homework and getting caught up so that we can actually...
I think there's a short form for parent watching, isn't there? I think I've heard it.
This was taken from a list of 100 short forms.
Wow.
So again, I think it's unrealistic for us to
get them
all, but certainly to pick out some ones that would, if you saw them in a message, that would maybe send you a message or put you on alert. So everybody will be different, but just to know where to find this list and to go through it's really important, so that again we can, we're monitoring and we're guiding, and really we're providing a safety net for our children. And sometimes that means we have to be nosy and we have to interfere a little bit. But I like to think that in the end my kids will thank me. It may be years from now before they do that, but certainly a little bit of strictness and will go a long way. So I divide social networking into 3, the good, the bad, and the dangerous. So my fancy presentation there. So for most of the kids, when I talk to them, social networking is just a continuation of what's happening at school. So they communicate with their friends, they talk about movies, they talk about music, who likes who's going to the dance on Friday night. So really, it's just an extension of school itself, which is kind of nice because in a rural area where you may not have neighbors, it's a great way of keeping up to date and communicating with your friends. So as I said, it does have a lot of good things, and the list here, again, really reflects some of the good things that we can do. So a number of the kids use our social media for research, whether it's a project at school, whether they're learning to create their own websites, keeping in touch via email or instant messaging. Some of us have friends and family that are overseas or maybe just even across the country, so it's a nice way to communicate, whether it's Skyping or anything along those areas. Of course, many of us shop online, play games, and so really it has its place, and it does have a lot of good things that it provides for us. However, the good is always balanced with the bad, and there are a lot of risks out there that we really need to be aware of. So there's a few that we look at. A good example of viewing inappropriate material, and we were talking about it earlier, how easy it is when somebody is young and they're maybe going on the computer just to find a new game. And I know, having girls myself, there's a lot of websites designed just for girls, and sometimes you type in an inappropriate word, or just a simple word like Barbie, and all of a sudden some very inappropriate material pops up. As a 4 or 5-year-old, they have no intention of looking at the inappropriate material, but that's what pops up. So that's a risk that starts with an early age, and that we need to be aware of it. Losing touch with the real world. We have those incidences where the kids are playing games so much that they really lose touch with reality. They forget that when they leave the front of the computer, that there's no more reset buttons, and that if we hit somebody, we actually hit them, and it hurts. If we use inappropriate language, it can cause some issues, and there's a real blurring between the games that they've been playing and reality. So that's something that we need to be aware of. Of course, frauds and scams. I see that as someone who monitors our calls. We see that all the time. At detachment, with people phoning in different fraud scams, identity thefts. Those are all things that happen over the computer. So again, needing to be aware of those things. A lot of these things you may recognize because they're actually criminal offenses in real life. So threats, any kind of harassment that happens in real life can also happen on the computers. The big one that we're dealing with at the schools right now is the cyberbullying. So really the first step in dealing with something is understanding what it is. So when we look at cyberbullying, just to make it simple, the use of social media to inflict psychological harm on another person. Sometimes the kids don't really understand what psychological harm is, because we're used to the old-fashioned bullying, where